How many of you have already done open source contributions? Or, yeah, already done? Then, so you're all on good shape. How many of you want to know, have been trying to or want to do open source contributions? Yeah, a lot of people. So this talk is all for you, right? So as they said, I'm Bhavani Ravi. You can find me in Twitter at Geeky Bhavani, right? I am a backend engineer, ML enthusiast, chatbot developer. I do write blogs, so you can check all out on Twitter. So without any further ado, because we have a time crunch, let's start. So yeah, anytime you want to get started with something, get started with programming, or get started with knitting, swimming, you go and do, hey, okay, Google, how do I get started with open source? And Google has been always warm to us, right? So what's interesting in this slide is they give like 1 billion results for you to get started, right? And even with all those resources, it's really hard, yes or no? Yes. So I don't know how many of you have read all the 1 billion resources, but I've read about 10 of them. And what happens as you hit the 8th link and you go in there, what happens? Maybe this thing is not for me. Maybe it's too much work. Maybe I should learn some more before coming back to open source. Yes, all these thoughts, we all have been facing it, especially for people who have tried it a couple of times. You would totally relate to my story. Yeah, I see a lot of nodding there. Thank you. And next resource you always go for is your peers, right? Your friends, your colleagues. And what people have told me is, one, you have to be an awesome programmer, man. First, learn to program well, then you can do whatever else you want. Next is, doing your own open source project is much better. Why do you have to go and contribute to something there already, which has been there for 10 years? It's going to be difficult. Why don't you start your own project? And trust me, don't do that, because owning your own project, doing your own open source project is like 10 times more work than contributing to something already there. And open source is a scary world. There are a lot of people who's going to bully you, who's going to put you down. Yes, true, but not all of them are like that. Not all of them are like going to tell you don't know programming. They are very warm. In fact, the one rule in open source real world is you should thank people for contributing to your code. The first comment you ever receive for your code is thank you. And that's how warm it is, but people have other ideas. And you should be experienced. The one ideology every student have. I'll enter the industry, I'll work for 15 years, after that I'll come back and give to the community. No, you start right where you are. And the last point is not people told me, but Quora answers. Every Quora answer I went to, get started with Linux. You should always work with Linux. No, not true. If you have a terminal, well and good. Just know how to use the terminal. And all these misconceptions, it just demotivates you, nothing much. But there are some things they said, and it's actually true, right? One is you need to be good at one programming language at least, right? Learn first 5 things you need to know about Python, and you are good to go. Or Java, or any programming for that matter. You should be really well-versed in Git and GitHub, how to, especially with the terminal part of it, right? And when it comes to open source, you're going to be working a lot on terminal, not a lot on, not any UI. So this is very important. One good programming language, how to use Git and GitHub, and how to play around in terminals. And if you are going to do open source, 2 places you should start right away is one, README file. So any GitHub repo you go to, there's a readme.md file, and there is the contributing.md file. That is where you should spend the most of your life, right? Because they have everything documented there, anything that you have to do, so read it end to end. Third thing is, trust me or not, it takes an insane amount of time and effort. And if you say you don't have time, I have a slide specially for you, and it's difficult. I'm not going to say it's easy, go and do it. It's really difficult, but that's where the challenge is, right? Who doesn't want challenge? So the best time to teach something is when you're learning it. So for the rest of the talk, we're going to focus on 2 things. Why you should do open source in first place, if it's going to take a lot of time and effort. Second thing is how to do it, right? And I'm not a very core contributor or anything. I just contributed a couple of things to Pandas, 2 to 5 contributions, and here I am giving the talk. So I am in the process of learning it, and the best time to do it is now. Why not, right? So what are we learning today? Why should you even care about open source, being it also difficult and time-consuming? How many of you are working and still want to do open source? Yes. So with your full-time job and the open source contribution, it's going to be like 2 jobs. Yeah? But even with that, you still want to do it. And how I made my first contribution. And that's the framework I'm going to share with you. So if you're students, this slide would resonate a lot with you. A lot of your seniors would have told you this. I can't find a job because I have no experience. There is no experience because I don't have a job, right? That's one main reason why you should contribute to open source, because you are getting experience already without even having a job. How cool, right? So here are a few points. One, it builds your portfolio. I go around and say, hey, I'm a Pandas contributor. Oh, wow, that's the reaction, right? So it kind of builds a portfolio, and it really looks good on your resume, trust me. And you want experience with big project. Open source is the way to go. Like, this project has been built for about 10 years. Pandas has been there around for 10 years. And you go and contribute a small thing to project, you get the whole idea of how big projects work, how to work with a team, how to collaborate with people. And if you're not getting internship, some people might feel, if you're students, if you feel like, hey, I don't have an internship, open source is a way to go. It adds in your resume. So why not? And trust me, open source has people all around the world, and remote jobs needs remote experience, and you'll be working with a wide spectrum of people. Initially, when I did my initial pull request, it was so hard to even interpret their comments, because they are coming from a different part of the world, and you are here. It took some time, but understanding what the background they are coming from, it was really warm to know. Next, industry best practices. This is my favorite, because you keep coding, you do a lot of things, you push code to production and a lot of things, but the beautiful thing about open source is you go and look at the code, it feels as if one person has written it. It's that clean, it's that nice to read, it's that easy to follow. And those are all the things you'll be learning as a process. And with my open source story for the rest of the slides, I'll land up in the framework I'm going to share. So my open source story is exactly how you can get started with open source. And this is my way. This is my framework. And if you can learn from something from here, good. And if you find some other way, come share it on the next DevFest. Okay? So take it with a pinch of salt. This is what worked for me. You can as well go through the blogs. If that works for you, works for you. Right? So this is the product we were building. It's called KissFlow. And this is the module I was working for about 6 months. And it's a report generator module. And every time you come across reporting or data analytics, Pandas is the answer, if you know Python. How many Python is? Yeah, Pandas is the way to go. So I was fiddling around with Pandas for a bit and learned a lot about it. And the problem I picked, the point where I was stuck was flattening the dictionaries, right? So you have dictionaries, Python dictionaries of n level. It's not a complicated rocket science problem. It's just flattening of dictionaries. And I went to Pandas, and oh, OK, this is the problem I was dealing with. So there is a nested dictionary. So if you look at the data, when there is a user field and the output, userfield.name makes more sense. But when there is an image field with type and URL, if you split it across, right? If you split it across into image.type or image.url, it doesn't make any sense. So I want the image dictionary to be compact, whereas the user field, I want to flatten it. So that was the problem I was dealing with. And the result is Pandas. You go to Pandas and you say JSON normalize, and yeah, you say JSON normalize, you get the result. JSON normalize of your data, and it gives you this. This is exactly not what I wanted. It splitted the image as well, right? So what I did, I can say to my boss saying, hey, Pandas is not supporting it. Right? How many of you have said that? Hey, it's not supported in the library. Hey, it's not there in the library. Every time you say that, you have an opportunity to do an open source contribution. So be a critic as us. We do it very well. The college is not good. The company is not good. The manager is not good. Similarly, the open source contribution, like the open source project sucks, man. They should do it better. Go and find all these faults. So I found that fault, don't just randomly flatten everything, flatten the specific things I want to say. And then you go and raise issues in the GitHub. So in GitHub, I raised a lot of issues. I became an issue freak, right? So you go and raise enormous amount of issues. So those are some of the things I opened and worked on them. And the last one is the configurable JSON normalize. That's the thing I was proposing. I get to mention the number of levels as well as the keys I want to flatten. So that was what I was working on. And on implementing it, if I give ignore specific field, like ignore image, then it would just flatten the user field and leave out the image. So simple, right? Yeah, so simple. Now you got the part of fixing them. Very simple, right? You fork the project, you clone or download them into your computer so that you can work on it, and edit the file. Now for this, you need, where is this file? Where is JSON normalize, right? So now you have the code, you have to understand that you should be able to read code to go and edit some open source code, right? So in Python, if you're very well with Python, the import path is how the file is structured, right? So if you say pandas.io.json.json normalize, then that's the exact folder structure you have to go through. Okay, I can show it at the end if you want. So that's where the function is. You can go and edit it. Then give the pull request. Until then, this took me only 2 days, okay? This took me only 2 days, 1 weekend, all done, fixed, and pull request was in. Next comes the part. 70 conversations. After the first 2 commits, there were 77 commits, 11 checkpoints. I told you about the best practices, right? For every code you push, it has to go through that 11 checkpoints, 2 reviews, and for just 4 files changed. This is the challenge of it, okay? And people are very warm, people are very welcoming, people are very helpful to get you through this. And to get that code merged, it took me 6 months. Yes, when I said it's difficult, this is what I'm talking about. Coding it, 2 days, but getting it to their standard, you learn a lot in that process. And 6 months later, it got merged, eureka, yes. So that's the best day of my life. I can do it finally. After so much blog reading and I can't do it stuff, finally it went in. So with that, I propose you my framework. Pick a problem, any simple thing you're doing, start as a user. It's the best way to get in, right? You go and look at the documentation, their first starting tutorial, you find something wrong, go and tell them, hey, I don't understand any of this. How do I do it? Be a critic. You can be a critic, no matter you're 0 experienced or 15 years experienced, doesn't matter, right? Be a critic, find faults, raise issues. That's how people know they are doing something wrong and you are there to fix it. And actually go and fix them. If not you, who else, right? So go fix them, and finally you'll hit the eureka moment just like I did. And for those of you like, hey, I'm not so confident about code. Hey, is there an easy way in? Can I do something else? Yes, you can. And all of this counts. Just sitting and reading code. Just sitting and going through stuff. Yes, it counts. Just asking questions. Hey, this is not clear to me. Can I ask some, can I make this better? Can you explain me it in a more simpler form? Yes, it counts. Raising issues. If you have problems, just go and tell them you have problem. That counts. Answering other people's questions. This is the best way to give back. Spend time on Quora, spend time on any open source project. You will get to know what are the questions people are asking. And my favorite, write blog posts. With blog posts, I am now talking to 100 people. Maybe you'll reach 1,000, right? So blog posts are very powerful. You can help them with testing. Every day there is some new feature out there coming out. You can help them with testing that product. Who's going to do it? And trust me, maintaining an open source project is the toughest job in the world. And they're not even getting paid for it. Anyways, coming back. And documentation, if you're going to find some fault, go and fix it, right? So if you're doing any of this, you're still an open source contributor, and it counts. Next. And this is something I've did. This is another open source library called Rasa and LU, and I didn't write a single line of code, and I became their superhero contributor. Right? I didn't write a single line of code. All I did was I read their code, wrote blog posts out of it, about 4 to 5, and then I ran one hackathon in Chennai and there I am, superhero contributor. If you are good at doing this for a community, then go ahead. You don't have to be a programmer sitting in a corner with a laptop. No, you can just do this and still become a superhero contributor. It counts. No time. How many of you don't have time to do any of this? It's difficult. Yes? Next slide is for you. It's coming. Okay? Make GitHub your Instagram. Just install one time measuring app, time tracking app in your mobile. You'll find out you are spending 6 hours on your mobile. 6+ hours, even 8. Right? There is your time going. And trust me, if you start playing around with GitHub, it becomes your Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. It's interesting. Right? Ready to contribute? Did I tell you that you can go back and contribute? And the timing is very perfect because there are 3 things coming up. Okay? Timing is just about right. Next month is October, and GitHub, DigitalOcean, and few other companies join together and they host Hacktoberfest. The whole month, you have to give 5 pull requests. It doesn't have to get merged. You can just give 5 pull requests, and you'll be there celebrating Hacktoberfest. And PyCon India is happening in Chennai, my own city. And they are having Devfest, and the tickets are still open. I checked it. So if you want to go, grab it. So Devfest are where open source contributors, the core contributors come down, and they help you do your first open source contribution right there, live, like a workshop. It's just $150, not even a pizza, right? And GSOC 2020, if you're a student, don't miss this opportunity. It will put you in a different place in your career. GSOC is Summer of Code, and you should apply. If not now, then when? Right? And finally, you don't have to be a great programmer. You don't have to be a great contributor. You don't have to be great at anything. Just remember passion, patience, persistence. With that, you can go places. Thank you so much. You were wonderful. Yeah. Any questions? Anything. Yeah.
It was a really great speech of yours. To get started, will you please more elaborate on
GSOC 2020, I think you should find some. I'm not a GSOC person, so I think you should find someone who have done it and ask. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes. JavaScript?
JavaScript developer, and I just want to start with open source contribution. So, first of all, how can I find a particular organization?
Okay.
Like, yes, because I want to contribute, but I don't have any idea of what organization I can contribute. So, can you please?
Okay. So, JavaScript, just pure JavaScript, no React?
Yeah, framework was React.
Okay,
Yes.
so if example, I'm taking it as React, it can be any library or anything that you're doing with JavaScript. So if you go to GitHub, there is a React GitHub page, right? That's your Facebook. That's where you spend all your time. That's how you find the organization in itself. And if you want to contribute, directly go down to contributing.md file. There is a file, just like README, there is a contributing.md file, and there you will find all the instructions that's required for a contributor. So after reading that, you will already have an idea, right? So this is what I can help with. So the moment you read it, you'll know where are the pieces that fits you. So go and raise issues on top of that. Go and find issues on top of that, and then start playing around with it. It just doesn't have to be code in the first day, but just be a part of the conversation. Slowly you can dip your feet in and actually start swimming. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
One other thing you can do is you can find the core contributors. If they are on Twitter or if they are on any other chat platform, you can reach out to them directly and ask for direct mentorship. And with that, what happens is you will be focusing on issues that they are interested in. So thereby you get a very one-on-one mentorship kind of thing. Yeah, those are the two ways.
Also, like one question is that like these open source contribution, does they help in expanding my JavaScript knowledge if I'm like
Definitely.
contributing?
So I come from a Python background, right? So Python is purely written, like the C Python is written on C. So if I'm going to contribute to Python, I will not improve on my Python skills, rather I will improve on my C++ skills, C skills, right? Whereas Pandas is written in Python. it's core Python. So if I contribute to Pandas, I'll improving my Python skills. So similarly, you have to find something that's written on JavaScript so that it will improve your JavaScript skills.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I want people to use that library.
Okay.
So, but I'm not able to publicize it well.
Mm-hmm.
Just by using GitHub
Okay.
or any social media platform.
Mm-hmm.
How can I make other developers use my library and so that
Sure.
they can work on my library?
Yeah, I understand your question. And the best way to do it is with blogs. So there is one problem that made you write that whole library, right? So there should be already people searching for that in Google. How do I do this with X, React hooks, right? So the moment they do that, you'll get a bunch of blogs on how to solve it. You write one other blog and plug your library into it. Thereby, I think the traction of that is much more than publicizing it in social media. Because people are coming there with an actual problem and you are providing a solution out of the box, so blogs are the way to go. It doesn't have to be so big. You can also do it in a Twitter thread.
Can it be a medium blog?
Yes, medium blogs are what I'm talking about. Can be anything. Yeah, so the moment people Google search you, it has to land there. That's how you have to frame your SEO. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Here. So just since you mentioned JavaScript, I'm just jumping in just to add to what Bhavani said. The first is that which repo should I contribute? Very specific to JavaScript. If there are two types of contribution. One is maybe core libraries.
Don't remove
there you might not even if it's a JavaScript core library, there's a chance that you need to know another language to do it, like say Node.js. Then you need to know C++, right? And there are some things like libraries, right? There you can definitely contribute. One of the names which I'm taking is Fossacia. So that's quite a big organization, and I think around more than 2,000 contributors. And it's a very easy to start organization, and they even are into the GSOC program. So you can always have a look at Fossacia. And second thing is that the question came, how do I promote my library?
Don't remote.
So let's put it in this way. When you are open sourcing any project, you're open sourcing it for yourself first, right? Because that solves your problem, and probably it's generic enough that you want to use it across different projects, right? The best thing is write blogs. I think, anyone who's going to search for the same problem, they should land up in a link which should redirect to your particular project. And other than that, there's another hack. If you have already a project, open PRs for issues. And this is Hacktoberfest, and everyone is going to search for that particular tag. So it's a good month for any new project.
Thank you so much for adding up on that.
Excuse me, and just to add Tyagiraj as well. So there is Code Triage website. So if you have already made your code and it's already available, just create issues and tag it on the Code Triage. So the people who have registered for Code Triage get notifications almost every 3 days or something to solve that particular thing. So it's much better if you just register yourself the issues with Code Triage as well as Hacktoberfest. I mean, when I started it out, it was a simple project actually. It was just kind of UI design. And just after Hacktoberfest, I had lots and lots of PRs. So it's a good thing. You just tag it as first timers only, or Hacktoberfest, or for beginners, for noobs. All of those issues, just tag it with GitHub, and you can just register with Code Triage as well, and it will do you good.
Yeah. Yes. It's not audible.
Just a minute.
And the problem which I'm facing is that I specifically do not, sometimes which I came across a problem easy beginners to solve on GitHub. Mm-hmm. So they use a mixture of multiple technologies, mm-hmm. but I'm not familiar with all of them.
Okay.
So how should I contribute to them? Like, till what extent should I be knowing to solve that issue?
Okay, so do you have a problem in the domain that are you trying to solve? The problem you are having.
Suppose I did React in 2 months. Like I developed and did some mini projects.
Yes.
But when I went to contribute for React, it was using multiple other also like libraries or something like that. So then it was a problematic experience for me to contribute in that.
So by learning React, you don't get the experience to contribute to React. By learning React, you find the problems in React, and you need the JavaScript that is used to build React, right? You need to learn JavaScript in order to go and build it, right? So to understand React itself, you have to have JavaScript knowledge. So gaining that core technology is important, right? HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the base. Before learning Django, you should know Python.
Okay.
Before learning Node.js, you should know JavaScript. So that core technologies you should always be good at. When I say one programming language, you should get that one core programming language and find libraries built on top of that so that you can go back and contribute.
Okay.
So if you spend 2 months on React, all you do is find problems with React. For you to solve problems, you have to go back to JavaScript.
Okay, so
right?
we can publish our own also. Like,
yeah. So if you're going to find other libraries built on top of React, then that's your way to go.
Okay.
Like Formic is one built on top of React, right? So those are the libraries you can go. They are built on top of React itself. So thereby, you can use your React skills.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
As a Python contributor, which open source projects do you think are best for the Python developer to contribute?
My favorite is because Pandas have done it. Pandas, because they are also very warm and very supportive. And Rasa, if you are into NLP, they are growing very fast. And that is one other thing. They are also very warm and they want people to come and contribute and all that. And anything in your area of interest, just for the sake of contributing, don't go and deep dive into something that you are not interested in. Find something that aligns with your current job or current area of interest so that you can do it. Like, it won't fall under the different spectrum completely. Yeah.
Due to time constraints, we'll be ending the question and answer session, question and answer round right now.
Just one more minute.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay,
so I can take all the questions offline, and I can also answer. This thing is stuck over. Okay, fine. I can take the questions offline, and if you have any questions on how to blog, how to do open source, how to build your portfolio, how to do X project, how to learn an X technology, I am there outside. You can come and talk to me. Thank you so much.
So after that great session by Bhavani Ravi, I'd like to call upon my volunteer friends, Ronak and Bharat, to felicitate ma'am. Ma'am, can we please have you up on stage?